in Hawaii once again with the shocking new images of the fires there. This video shows what it was like to be inside a neighborhood as it was burning. Now, the man who took this was making a record of which family homes had been destroyed and which ones up to then had survived. We are also seeing new footage of the fire's aftermath released by FEMA as workers carefully search through all the debris. More than 100 people are now confirmed dead. Nearly all of the victims have yet to be identified. Jonathan Vigliotti is on Maui right now. He's talking to the survivors. Jonathan, good morning to you.
And good morning to you, Gayle. As the road into town gets ready to reopen this morning, we're hearing disturbing new details about a state resembling martial law and a rescue operation that never arrived. We're talking many people spending several days in the dark, without power, without food and water, before taking matters into their own hands.
House behind, Uncle.
Startling new images of Lahaina's firestorm show the ferocity of the wind-driven flames. The governor has confirmed that more than 100 people were unable to escape.
It was a kind of fear and panic that I have never experienced before in my life.
After losing cell reception last Tuesday and seeing smoke in every direction, hotel manager Kavena Kahula drove into Lahaina to find her son, unaware of the threat.
You had no idea that as you were evacuating, you were actually heading into the firestorm.
I didn't know. I didn't know until there was big black mushroom clouds of smoke continuing to stack up on each other, bigger and bigger.
She said she received no emergency alerts.
Was there any communication in these first few hours of that panic state?
No. Nothing.
Windows just blew out of the upstairs kitchen.
Fearing she wouldn't make it out of Lahaina alive, she escaped the flames and returned to her hotel, where hundreds were stranded with no power and limited supplies.
There was a point to where we could only provide food for the children.
While Lahaina sat in ruins, no assistance came for more than 2 days.
There's an airport right up the road. Why isn't that being used? There's an ocean front 20 feet from our lobby. Why are we not using that? I don't know.
In the aftermath, they were left hungry not only for food, but for any official guidance.
You know, we ran out of everything, including our patience and sanity at some points. My team members coming back to work, crying, telling me, I don't have nothing left except this shirt. Hearing stories of elderly people crawling on the ground, begging for someone to pick them up. There are parts of me that wish I did make it in to help those lives. But there is a huge piece of me that thanks God that I didn't.
And Kahula says she waited nearly 3 days before self-evacuating. The roads were clear. She did not see any first responders on them. When she made it here to the end of the line at this roadblock, she was upset to see that there were lines of volunteers with supplies that were not being allowed through. The county is currently under investigation. We have reached out to officials many times over several days and have not heard back. And Dana, some good news. Kahula was reunited with her son.
Great news, Jonathan, actually, and her questions, the ones that so many would be asking as well. Thank you for bringing us that story. There are tough weather conditions making recovery efforts more difficult on Maui. The forecast includes wind gusts up to 75 miles an hour, which could affect power lines, and rain, which could complicate the search for victims. Lilia Luciano is in Kula, where locals battled a different wildfire. Lilia, good morning.
Good morning, Dana. And on that, look, we were here yesterday in the morning and throughout the day, and now suddenly we're taken aback by the smell of wildfire smoke. It's a reminder that these fires are still a threat to the land as people are just starting to make sense of everything that they've lost.
Right in the front here was the dining room.
Sweetheart Maury lost her home in the wildfire that ravaged Kula. This is all that remains.
We fortunately got out alive. Before the fire came.
To her granddaughter Amaya, the loss is far greater than the structure.
I grew up here half my life, and I spent all my summers up here at my grandma's house, and we just had so many memories up here.
1 week after a measurable loss, Maury says aid is still scarce.
What kind of assistance have you received?
FEMA gave $700 and that's it.
What would you like for people to understand about those $700?
The $700 one-time payment for critical needs is only a fraction of the FEMA assistance that may be available.
FEMA has deployed at least 380 specialists to Maui. So far, the agency said it has made payments totaling almost $2 million to about 1,200 survivors.
It's important to keep in mind FEMA is not in charge. The state is in charge, and of course Maui County has incredible influence on what the state is going to request of FEMA.
Hawaii is a very particular, different state. It's not part of the quote-unquote mainland. What challenges are specific to this catastrophe because of that?
We are very mindful of local history and local traditions. We don't just go into a neighborhood without consulting with Maui County officials. That's why we began in the shelters, and we're talking with Maui County about going into other neighborhoods where FEMA teams can be most effective in terms of one-on-one outreach.
Many are grateful for the help of the community, relying on a mantra of kindness and open arms. These 4 women lost everything in Lahaina, their belongings burned to ash. 2 complete strangers, Kylie Dindinger and Ray McGorry, took them in, expanding their unit from 2 to 6.
Now you have a family.
They are my family right now, Kylie and Ray.
How long do you suspect they will continue to live with you?
Oh, as long as they want.
That FEMA spokesperson told us that they are planning to open up a center for one-on-one assistance for people applying for disaster aid. And President Biden, who's been criticized for the pace of the federal response and also for not talking about what happened here for a few days, says that he will come to Maui as soon as he can and that he's been in touch with the governor.